Hello again everybody, and a very warm welcome back to the channel. If you're new and you're just landing here for the very first time, do click that subscribe button down below, give the video a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. Here we are at Athens, the FlyTampa scenery for Athens as well. Really good scenery, and we are checking out for the first time a new aircraft for Microsoft Flight Simulator, the Super Constellation by Redwing Sim. It's available on Sim Market at the moment, and we're going to have a little look here as a bit of a first look and also a bit of a review as well, to basically give you guys an idea of whether or not you would like to add it into your own simulator's hangar. Externally, early indications, early sort of view if you like, it looks pretty good. I'm sure you guys will agree. It's a competitor aircraft to the PMDG DC-6. The Super Constellation of course was created by Lockheed to directly compete with the Douglas DC-6 back in the day, and it's also capable of flying Transatlantic too. It comes with multiple animations. We're going to have a look at some of those, including doors, stairs, engine fire, engine smoke, which is an additional download via the website that you need to download for that, which we'll see in a short while. Dinghies as well for ditching scenarios, and a few other bits. 3 liveries are available to download for this aircraft. We've got the Breitling one that we're having a little look at the moment. There is a TWA livery and an Air France livery too. Pricing is €50 82 cents, which I think is quite steep, so it's got to be good. Though that is a direct comparison price almost to the PMDG DC-6, which you guys know I absolutely love. I think very highly of that add-on as well. So it's going to be a bit of a comparison against that. So let's jump straight into the flight deck. I don't think it looks too bad. This is the default view at the moment. I'm not a fan of this view. I would like to have seen the developers maybe bring it up to this sort of position instead. And even if I try and set my custom views, it doesn't want to go to them. It keeps snapping back to that cockpit view, so that can get quite frustrating. I've spent probably about an hour trying to get that working now, and everything else though looks pretty good, I guess. Does it look worth €50? I'm not so sure. This is phase 2 of 4 for the release. It's an early release, and I don't think it's particularly great, or well, maybe fair is probably a better word to use. I don't think it's particularly fair they're charging €50 for something that's in effect phase 2 of 4. Just over half complete. Some of the decals I don't think are that great either, to be honest. I think they could have done a bit better with the decals, rather than just looking like they've gone on to paint and just painted on a black square, rounded the edges and typed over it. That I'm not too impressed with. Instrument wise, it doesn't look too bad. I'm not sure about the primary flight display. It says climb and dive. You'll see that in a very short while. And of course there's no way to actually know what QNH you're on either, except for setting the airfield elevation at the day, depending on what aircraft, depending on what airport you're at. There's no actual QNH figure, which could be quite confusing for a few people. Could be a bit of a stumbling block as well. There is, though, by contrast, quite a lot of things to be able to click and do in this aeroplane. It's got a bit of an autopilot, which I probably won't use in this first look review video. Just the idea of trying to keep it short and sweet. And there is a whole lot of panels at the back here for the flight engineer too, which would get quite busy when you're trying to fly the aeroplane. If you need to click these, you know, carb air, cold, hot, etc., you're probably not going to be able to do that, syncing the RPMs. There's the feathering guards, and a few other bits as well, all your generators and things. Up in the overhead you've got all your fuel dump tanks, levers and bits for quick access. You've got lights and you've got radios. ADF's in op at the moment by the looks of it. And then down here we've got a load of other lights too. To the left hand side of the pilot we've got a what they call as an EFB, which is like an electronic clipboard if you like, with a couple of different options to choose from. We can turn the co-pilot on to be visible. There he is. We can turn that off again. I probably would have him off because the hands, as you saw there, don't really work with the way the yokes and things move. So I'll probably keep that off. And a couple of items here at in-op as well, pilot management help and that sort of thing too. We can turn flight engineer management on and flight engineer help on, and there's a different two different options here, easy or normal for types of flight. I'll probably choose normal. I would probably like to see the developers run some of these words and bits through a translator again. Type of fly is not very good English. And fly engineer should be flight engineer, as you guys know. So I'd like to see quite a lot of tweaks done to this to improve the general feel and improve the sort of general English of it. Stairs doors, we can turn those on. We'll open the doors first, we put the stairs in place, and we'll put the rear stairs in as well. You can see cargo doors at the moment, and the rear door are in op, and hydraulics, alcohol, water and oil are all in op as well. 3 different options for which type of flight you would like to do. Transatlantic could be selected, that's for the big boys, 12 hours of duration or endurance, and we're just going to load for a national flight because we're going to do a little bit of flying around Athens, a circuit, and from there probably a touchdown and then a bit of a ditching to test the other bits too. This I'm not sure about. I think it's quite cartoony, and I think if you're asking for 50 euros for something, I think there needs to be a lot more polish. It's a bit arcade-like, without trying to criticise it too much, I guess. I think they could do a lot more with this to neaten it all up. You can see here the skull and crossbones, I don't think that looks great at all. To be honest, I know it says destroyed or inoperative at the bottom. I don't know. They'll probably go away once we get the engines on. And we've got a couple of checks there. At the moment, all we've got are those 2 checklists complete that we can tick. There's nothing else working at the moment with this, including lever synchronization and things too. We can turn cockpit lights on and all that. We're going to go through that in a second. We're going to jump outside to have a little look at some of these external animations. So there's the stairs, quite low poly. The texturing is very different to the detail of the actual fuselage, as you can see. But it's an additional animation, if you like, and they've got a safe against performance, and it does the job. I think it looks quite cool, quite retro. And we can check the doors here as well and have a look at the animations of that. Although the door doesn't seem to be working. You can see there we've got some engineering steps instead. Let's see if we can open it from the inside, shall we? There we are. Nice little animation for the door opening in the port. And of course we can get it closed again in a second. Here's the inside animation. So we can, with the drone camera, bust through the fuselage into the cabin. And it's a really low poly cabin, but they wanted to obviously include something, and here's the different sections here for you guys to have a little look at. There we go. You can, of course, if they sort the custom views and things out, you could, in theory, set up some wing views and that sort of thing. If you hit Control 1, there's one of the custom views. Control 2, the propellers look fantastic from the windows. Autopilot, radio stack, flight engineer. So these are all the different custom views that we've got at the moment. Preset when you install the add-on. So we're going to start with cockpit lights, and you've got options of easy, normal. We'll leave it on normal for now. All the lighting's been switched on. We can see here we've got throttle movement and things as well. That's been fixed from Sim Update 7, breaking a couple of things. Developers quite quick actually to get that sorted. Well, let's start the engines. Hit ready to fly, and this will fire up itself in lieu of not knowing where everything is at the moment, just for a first look. Should get some smoke. There we go. So listen to the other two starting up. Sound wise, I'd probably have thought it would have been a bit louder inside, but it looks pretty good, sounds pretty good. Runway 21 left is what we're going to use today. We're basically going to do a short circuit and just see what it's like for takeoff, a bit of a downwind leg and then a bit of an approach as well, just to try it all out. We're going to use the ILS as well, just to see how that works too. So treble 1-1. So I've moved the flaps to the takeoff position. Interestingly, one thing to note is takeoff is there, but actually the position of the dial is there, but not too much to worry about. Taxiing along past the Olympic hangars here at Athens. Fantastic scenery by FlyTampa, I really recommend it if you've not already purchased it. You can see here the aileron animations and the elevator animations, along with a quick bit of rudder. So one thing I did note is I was having to use quite a bit of differential braking for taxi, just to get those tighter turns. It had a bit of a tendency to just go a bit loose on the turn, but otherwise no difficulty with taxiing whatsoever. We've got all the lights on, nav lights, landing lights, etc., as you guys can see here. And we're lining up at Athens. Okay, so this is a rival aircraft to the DC-6, and we're going to take off in a similar fashion, I would expect. So, on the toe brakes. Away we go. Not quite a fan of the view. I'd probably bring that up a little bit, and I'd probably zoom out a little bit more, like so. 100 knots. We're still going. Now we should be able to be airborne now. So there we go. We're up and into the crosswind a little bit, making it quite interesting. Let's get that gear away. I feel like the sounds could be a lot better. That's one thing I have sort of noticed. But let's take a little look as a replay for the takeoff from the outside. You can see on the engines, we've got a bit of fire coming out. They could do quite a bit of work on the animations there, I think. We are nicely easy unstick from the runway. Here come the animations for the gear. They look really good. Very nice. Look at that. And we shall continue our climb out. Now I'm not sure what the speeds and stuff are. There are lots of bits of information in the manuals. But we're not going to use those. we can get rid of the flaps. Quite confident that we can continue to fly without those. I'm probably just going to hold around 190 knots. I feel like it accelerates very quickly. Bit of trim. Yeah, it does accelerate extremely quickly. Into the turn. We're going to buzz over towards the terrain, just fly around a little bit. And after we've done a bit of a circuit and a touchdown, I'm also going to show you guys something else, which is a nifty little feature. I think it's more so for those of you who like to just, well, muck about, I guess. There is a ditching feature that has been modelled into the aeroplane. The Lockheed L-1049 Super Constellation was actually created to directly compete with the Douglas DC-6, which obviously PMDG have created for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I love that a lot. It's a really good aircraft. Transworld Airlines, Air France, and then this Breitling livery are the options that you've got at the moment. But it can fly Transatlantic. Roll wings level there. Again, the views, I would very much like to change the way these views get fixed. I would rather than be sort of back here like this, because I can still see the instruments and I can still fly the aeroplane, but I've got that bit more of a wider view of the flight. What do you guys think so far? Let us know in the comments below, share your thoughts. As always, they're probably more important than mine, if I'm honest. You guys are watching it, taking it all in, and it'll be interesting to see what you think. Whether or not you'd like to have it in your hangar, or if it's something that you would probably not like to have yourself. And if you've got the PMDG DC-6, it'll be interesting to see what you think as a comparison between the two, especially if you've already purchased this one as well. So one thing I will mention, it is an early release aircraft. It's a lot of money to ask of people for an early release. So whether or not I feel comfortable with that, I'm not sure. Probably not. I would like to have seen it in a bit more of an advanced stage. But they're looking at a couple of phases of the aircraft, and they're aware of a couple of issues with it too. They reckon that at the moment, Phase 2 early access delivery is 100% complete. Then there's a Phase 3 and a Phase 4 apparently for the Super Constellation by Redwing. Although it doesn't really go into too much detail, they're looking at adding in for Phase 3 hard mode failures, emergency process, fire systems, circuit breakers, oxygen systems, simulating the oil systems and a feathering system as well, and then creating a MATS livery cargo version 2. And then step 4 is when they're going to be looking at adding in the weather radars, LORAN radio and APU failures and things. So there's still a bit to go, and yeah, whether or not I would like to see them have created a bit more of this progress wise before releasing, I'm not sure. I'm very much a fan of having a more complete aircraft to be able to use, which I'm sure you guys can appreciate. Now, I know in the comments there's going to be some of you who probably know how to fly this, and they'll be criticising all sorts of things, like I got with the DC-6. Oh, you didn't configure flaps at the right stage, or the power settings were wrong, whatever else. But I'm literally just playing around, hand flying, and getting a feel for what this aeroplane can do and what it feels like effectively. So, and also in a bit of beautiful scenery. So I hope you guys can appreciate that, of course. Now that's interesting. I've just deployed flaps for takeoff, and look how much we're pitching up. Let's get the gear down. So we've just bust past the glide slope. I wanted to see what the VORs did, but it's quite jumpy. As you guys can see here, it's not a smooth curve as you would probably expect. And there we go again. Look, it's very sort of jumpy in increments. I'd expect that to be a lot smoother, to be honest. But we'll watch that as we sort of fly a bit of a visual approach. I wanted to turn the ILS on just to get a feel for what the aeroplane systems are like at this stage. And then try my first touchdown. Now if I follow the glide path of the ILS, if it's like the DC-6, it might make the landing a bit more difficult, so I've intentionally come in really low here, trying for a bit of a low and slow style approach. Now I've idled the throttle to see what happens here as well. I've got more than enough speed to just carry the same sort of attitude. There we go. I feel like it sort of sticks to the ground very rapidly there, as you probably just saw. But let's watch it from the outside, and then we're going to head back over the water because I want to try this ditching feature. Don't forget to give the video a little like as well, folks. So here we go, we can see the windsock. Left to right across the aircraft for the wind, so I'd be expecting to cant into wind. I felt like I was just flying in straight on that approach, like it kind of ruled out the crosswinds somewhat. We'll see the kick that we got on touchdown. I felt like it was an alright touchdown, but it glued itself immediately to the tarmac. Look at that, it does look quite good, doesn't it, from the outside. Not a bad touchdown at all, actually, and it actually doesn't look too bad from the outside either. So, where are we now? We're over the water, and we're going to do a bit of a ditching to see what happens. Okay, so I've now pretty much killed the engines. So they are actually dead now, and I think they should be feathered. I'd like to think the auto feather is armed, but I can't quite remember how to do all of that. So at the moment we are, he says, about to ditch, and I can see my speed bleeding away, so I've turned back out away from the land. I'm trying to hold above the water as much as possible until that speed bleeds right off. Here we go. Thankfully it's a low sea state today, which always helps. For those of you who love a bit of air crash investigation, here we go. Oh, it's like I've done it before. So this is a feature that they actually talk about on their website and on some of their videos. Quite a nifty feature. You can see though maybe the model was sitting a bit strange on the water, almost like we'd landed on tarmac. But there is a way to now extend all of the life rafts and all that sort of stuff. But before we do, let's get a replay of the ditching from the outside, because why not? It's always good to see what the model looks like from the outside, isn't it? So that's probably going to be quite a good little angle for us. Now interestingly, I mean, that's the flight recorder mod being a bit of an issue, but it's doubled up the animations there. Oh, look at that for a touchdown. Survivable, I think. It's probably how I'd describe that. Awesome. Right, now let's look at ditching. It's a very strange attitude to be at. Okay, so we're wondering where are the life rafts, and thankfully they've covered that in the manual. So if we go back to the rear of the aeroplane, I've opened the cockpit door here. It's a really nice animation actually, look at that. Although it seems to just detach itself and it slides up. Or, well, I suppose floats up more than anything else. Behind the flight deck door, or underneath the flight deck door in fact, we've got life raft release. There we go. And we've got outer wing fuel dumps and things as well down the back here as well, which is quite cool, nice little added feature. But we've deployed the rafts. And there we go. There's the rafts. Now of course if we were crashed and in the water a little bit better, those rafts would be floating on the surface of the water. But effectively it's a model that's attached to the side of the aircraft, should you wish to deploy them. A really nice little extra playful feature if you like. But there we go. That is what a way to end. That is the Redwing Sims Super Constellation for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed the ending. Make sure you hit like and subscribe down below, and come and join me in a live stream in the very near future. In the meantime, as always, thank you very much for watching and take care.